Hello, everyone. My name is Ivan, and welcome to our talk. Do we really need writing tests? So we'll discuss a lot of interesting questions, but before we start, I'd like to say a couple of organization words. So first of all, feel free to ask your questions in the chat because we'll discuss our defined before questions, but we'll be also glad to ask and discuss your topics that you'll be able to share. And one more thing here. So the best question, the person who asked the best question will be given by special prize from us on Friday. Also, we'll share our social medias. Feel free to join, to connect us, and wait for our next conference or any content that we might have. And this is third topic, third talk in our conference. We'll have two more. Tomorrow we'll have TypeScript demystified talk, and yeah, if you're interested in TypeScript or you'd like to hear something about that, feel free to join tomorrow. On Friday we'll have another talk. It will be intro to BDD, how to make devs and BI allies. So feel free to join. Yeah, I think we can go with our talk, and I'd like to present our my colleagues who will be talking today. Yeah, as I said, my name is Ivan. We have Alexey and Andrei here. They are software architects, and they will try to explain to answer my questions why tests are important or they are not. So we'll see who will win. Um, Before we move to our main part, yeah, let me give you some context about testing. Yeah, you can see on the yeah, cool. Yeah, you see on the presentation Multimeter. Please use your mobile phones, scan this QR code, and go to Multimeter. And yeah, we'll do some kind of interaction here. We'd like to understand who are you, where you're from, what do you do, and so on. Uh, Use your mobile phone, go to this QR code or go to menti.com and use this code. Also, the link to a direct link to Mentimeter will be provided in comments. Uh, yeah. Cool. You see that some people are already joined, and we see that a lot of people. So we have a lot of different locations. Yeah, Minsk, Belarus, Georgia, Switzerland, Uzbekistan, Turkey, Wrocław, it's Poland, Bulgaria,
I like
Montenegro,
the one.
Egypt. Yeah.
I like the Steve. So yeah.
Steve. So many answers. I cannot even. Okay, so I think the biggest location here is Uzbekistan. The next one probably Ukraine and maybe Poland. Mars. Oh, I like this person who's from Mars. Um, we have Vilnius, USA, New York. Oh my God, what's time in New York now? German. Do we have anything in the U here? Kiev. Oh, we have China. Um, okay. Yeah, a lot of different locations. So yeah, we probably. I think the different in time zones are very huge because we have people from USA and we have people from China. So probably someone is like night in some one locations and like noon in another. Okay, I think we can move to the next question. I see Kazakhstan here. The next question will be about your title. Yeah, we'd like to understand what your level and what you think your level is. So feel free to choose. Yeah, either you're lead or junior or even chief, or if you are not technical person or you're not joined or you already, I don't know, maybe manager or solution architect or whatever else, please choose other. So yeah, I see that the biggest part here is middle developers. Yeah, next one is senior, and then lead, and only 3 junior developers are here. So that's great because I think, yeah, testing is very kind of interesting topic, and maybe lead developers will be able to ask very kind of deep questions according to their experience. But it will be also beneficial for all titles here, because junior can get a lot of interesting stuff, and of course middle can provide a lot of different questions that we'll try to answer. Okay, the next question is about tests, about our current topic. There are a lot of different type of tests. Please provide list of tests that you know, different kind of tests that you know. For example, I will say uh, that I know. I know that there is unit test. So please provide if you have something else. Okay, yeah, unit is the winner here. We also have end-to-end test integration. That's the most popular test here. And yeah, we have stress tests, we have load tests, we have regression, we have end-to-end mutation tests, we have UI tests, API test, performance test, functional tests. So many different type of tests. Um, Manual, okay, automation tests, load, mutation, integration, penetration, component test, acceptable testing, yeah. UAT, user acceptance testing, also very important, I think. Stress testing, regression component. Okay, A/B testing, yeah, great. Monkey testing, okay. Manual, regression unit. Um, Smoke testing, yeah. Security. Thank you very much, guys. So many different type of tests. Model testing, jest is not kind of test, it's a library that we can use for testing. But anyway, let's go to the next question, and the next one will be about unit tests. So guys, how do you think, do we need writing unit tests? So I'd like to understand how many people thinks that unit test is not something we need to write. Yeah, because in our community, it's like um, popular like statement that we need to write unit tests. But how many people think that we don't need? So it looks like only two. Okay, great. So a lot of people know that we need to write unit tests.
Yeah, today's topic, you're gonna be the third one, right, Ivan?
Yeah. I'm not
Fourth
able to participate in
one.
that Multimeter, but I would vote to know. Okay, and the next question is about the test coverage. So the test coverage, it's like how many our lines of code should be covered. How do you think? What test coverage, ideal test coverage, should be on the project? Okay, I see that. Yeah, the lowest number is 50, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, but a lot of people, they are choosing like 80%, because 13 people chosen 80%. Yeah, someone chosen zero. Someone, I don't know, about 30. Someone chosen, not even someone, three people chosen 100%. So it means that every single line of code should be covered. Okay, so the average number is 75.5%. So I would say it's a huge number. When I was creating this question in my mind, I thought it will be about 50%, because I thought a lot of people will, yeah, will choose lowest number. Okay.
Yeah, that's a really pretty awesome result. It's really really close to a standard. So
Yes, yes,
well
I agree.
done. Yeah.
Okay, and the last question is about time developer should spend on writing tests. So, um, what do you think? How many time of your working time, your, I mean, developer, if you're a developer, you need to spend for writing unit tests? So, I'm interested in the person who chosen 100%, which like this number he'll choose here, because to get 100%, probably we need to spend more than 30% of our working time. Someone
Like,
chosen 60 from 60 to 100%.
yeah, I see the option over 100%. Do you mean like overtimes or what?
Yeah, that's the point when you like really like writing tests and you don't like to do coding, and you do writing unit test during your workday, and plus you do something else after your workday is finished. Um, I think it's a good sign that nobody chosen this. Yeah, so we have a good
Cool.
work-life
But
balance.
we have specific specialists that should answer like this. For example, AQAs. So, yeah.
Yeah, but they don't write. Okay, we'll probably discuss it later. Cool. Yeah, in average, I would say that 30% something in average. So developers should spend 30% on writing unit test. Okay, cool. Yeah, I think that's it about Multimeter. Thank you very much, guys. Now we have like understanding where you're from and what do you think about unit tests and just tests. Let's continue. And I'd like to give you some context before our discussion about tests. Here's the type of tests that we have. Or you already mentioned all of them, yeah. But again, there are three main type of tests. It's unit, integration, and end-to-end tests. We have some other testing, and in most projects, I would say they're optional. So the first three, they're kind of standard, yeah, but other they are not really standard. And in some projects, you might have security test, another one you might have a performance test, depending on requirements. So after that, I'd like to share you information about testing pyramid. So testing pyramid shows us how many, let's say we have 100% time that we need to spend on writing tests. So this pyramid says us that like 60%, maybe 70% of that time we need to spend to writing unit test. 20% we need to spend for writing integration tests, and 10% we need to spend for end-to-end tests. That's a popular statement. Again, it depends from project to project, and there are different opinions on that because sometimes people think, okay, we don't need to write in unit test, or vice versa, we don't need to write in integration and end-to-end tests. And I'd like to share one more topic here is first principle of unit test. So there is acronym first, which means that F means fast, which means that test should be fast. And if it takes a lot of time, it's a bad unit test. Then it should be isolated. It means that our unit test should be isolated from any third-party integrations, requests, whatever else. Then it should be repeatable. It means that every time we run the unit test, we need to get the same result from this test. Self-validating, it means, yeah, we need to have understanding that the test validates itself. So we need to have enough like asserts and side tests and so on. And it should be timely, which means that tests should be written in right time. So when we have some feature, we release that, and after 1 year, we decided to write unit tests. It's like not bad idea, but it's better to have it at the beginning before the feature went live, because during this year we might have different cases when our tests might be used. Okay, let's go to our discussion. We have two specialists here. They are software architect. They are very clever guys. They know everything about software development. They know how to do good code, how to do. Okay, they don't know how to do bad code.
Oh, stop.
uh,
We do. We do.
Okay,
The
and
software architects.
I'll try to challenge them about tests. So I have a couple of topics that I sometimes hear, that I sometimes think about tests, and they will try to answer that and convince me that unit tests are needed to be written, or maybe I'll be the winner and I'll be able to convince that unit tests are bad, and maybe not only unit tests. Okay, and the first topic is, guys, unit tests is for testing, for avoiding having bugs, but the point is we can write code without bugs and test it by ourselves. So I'm, as a developer, I can write the code, test it. Okay, it works. I can push it into production. It will work because I've already tested. What do you think about that?
Is it like the topic works on my machine? Yeah.
Yeah,
Eventually, you may come with a result that your machine will house like the whole application for everyone, and you will not have any machine. So think twice. But that's just a joke. So about writing code without bugs, um, that's actually what we all need to aim when we're writing code. But in the reality, we all are humans, right? And it's not even about the code; it's just about what we are. And we do not have 100% guarantee that uh, something will not go wrong. If you will look to, like, for example, other companies and what SLAs they give or something else, there is a no 100% rate of success. So we can aim on that. We can use some practices to do that. But at the end, you will need to think about the risk. So if you're trying to do code without bugs, um, there is a small percentage that their bug will appear.
Okay,
And
it
if
means
your
that
business is not critical, then yeah.
yeah. So you spent like half of your life for writing code, and you can say that while writing code, you do bugs. You do some code that works bad.
Well, first of all, yes, I can say that. I can say that. Plus, it's not only about like the developers, right? It can be about journalists or any other profession. You can work with this one language all your life and just be human, and that's completely okay. And we all need to take that in mind. That's a risk. That's a management risk that we all need to think about. So yeah,
Okay,
sure.
thank you, thank you, Alex. Yeah.
One more arguments here, definitely. Maybe only today, ChatGPT it is like first candidate who can type something without bugs. Again, you have to explain them what to code. But as about me, once you start to write and design unit tests and think about cases, anyway you start to do, you force yourself to think about corner cases that you cannot get when you code successful scenario. It is number one. It is next. You can result of unit test could be a new requirements as well. Corner cases, some business cases, and something else. Even from the mindset of you, yeah, you can like see your requirements and your application and features from different perspective. Finally, even you can remove the unit test and don't run it at all, but even try to design it and think about it will change your code in a better way. And
Okay, you.
definitely
Yeah.
regressions. My personal experience, we had a project where they didn't have indeed many tests at all, but some uh, critical hard business logic with a lot of ifs and branches, it mandatory to be covered. And I met personally many times when it saved production bugs.
Yeah, and small
Okay.
note, just to
Yeah.
be quick, sorry. We do not work alone usually, right? We collaborate, and the communication is so hard because, like, even if we speak the same language and the same words we mention, there is a really high chance that we are not aligned and we do not understand the same things, and different people understand that in a different way, and that type of collaboration also brings risks to us.
Mhm.
So
Sometimes
Okay,
you
yeah,
uh,
now I agree that people like software developers, they write bugs, they write sometimes bad code, and if I would like to hire person that doesn't do bugs, I will not find anybody. Yeah. But another point here is what if I will test code by myself? Yeah. Yeah, you said that we work in a collaboration with other developers. We can ask each developer, please test your code, test your edge cases before you deploy your code, before you push this code to master branch and so on. In that case, yeah, we'll be protected from bugs. Yeah, on the one hand, and another hand, we don't need to spend time for writing tests.
well, that's actually one of the good practices, right? To test yourself always, just to make sure you know what you're doing and if it works, at least on some environments. Um, so for sure, you have to do that. That's a recommendation, but basically, that usually how it works. But besides of that, um, it's a really controversial topic because it depends on many other points. So, for example, how your project want to move. like what scale of work or a workload do you have. So for example, like if you have like months of work and you want to parallel it, you can onboard new people to help you, and that comes to really different vast topics. For example, costs, performance of like the actual velocity of the team, which can be affected to that, and many other steps. Plus, we also need to think that the more a person does, the less effective the outcome. Just because, like, if and vice versa, the more focus you get, the better result you get. So that's my point here. Alexa, what do you think?
Uh, Interesting argument from my life as well. How many of you was a situation when you code something today and a few months you forget what was the code about? Or second chance when you inherit the project and you need to continue it and you have no clue what's going on here. And second case when you have to refactor or create something new based on existing. And here unit tests, it is your assistant. Definitely, if it is pet project and only you and your friend commit in this repository, and even if it is your own project, you can definitely do not spend your time on unit tests. But if you change something, you add something, uh, and you have a large team, then welcome. You potentially would have problems. And unit tests, it's something that will bring value. Might be not today, but I think it will bring even today, but definitely it will bring in future.
What about time? I mean, will it be in terms of time cheaper to test your code by yourself? Of course, sometimes you might forget about some piece of code, but anyway, if you dive into this code, you'll get understanding about that. And even if you are kind of new developer, by this exercise, doing the testing your code, even if it's not fully your code, in some time you will be the person who knows everything about the project. So it's not bad, I would think.
That's actually a really cool point. And I guess like we all should know that the person that writes code and does testing, um, it's not really the best combination, just because the person that does code usually checks the way he knows the algorithm works, and it's usually better to just bring some other person that will test the application as a black box, and
Yeah.
that will
So you
increase.
agree we don't need to write unit test in that case?
Well, that's not the point here. I've said that we need to do both stuff, right? And I've just
Okay.
mentioned AQA here. This is also depends on what type of quality you want to achieve and how you want to avoid risks that you might have. And by the way, sorry for the interruption, I'd like to ask the audience to join the chat and share your opinion on that. We're trying to have a discussion here, and we will try to read the comments all the way. And if you have some ideas, some mentions, that would be awesome. So please. And going back to the topic, it depends on what actual requirements your project has. So yeah, eventually we might say that no test for us for now, but you have to take the risks, right?
And one more story, it is about time. Time, it is a very important attribute of architecture and the code. And indeed, again, I'm like constantly like turn in this direction. If you need to do POC and you have 1 week or few days, it is one story. If you need to go to the production and your money depends on it, reputation, business reputation, first of all, it is another story. And it is, again, you need to make decision what is better for you. Rely on your own feelings that you did very good code, or not rely on it, or just on metrics. So it is, again, as everything, I could say standard phrase, there's no silver bullet, and it is everything everywhere about balances, about money, time, actually.
Totally agree. Every solution works if it meets the requirements. So as
Okay, I'm
always.
the manager. I would like to have a silver bullet, unfortunately. Yeah, but
Yeah.
okay, guys, let's say, okay, about this topic, okay, we need to have unit tests because it will save us cases when we will have bug later because we'll be able to uh, catch them before. But I asked my friend, he's very clever, and the name of this friend is ChatGPT. Yeah, because today we have AI. I would say time because like a lot of different AIs here, and ChatGPT, the most popular one probably. I
Why do
asked
we
him.
have this talk then? Yeah.
Yeah, I asked him, and actually his answer was really boring about like why do we need the unit tests and so on. But I'd like to go through these bullet points like why unit tests are important. And first one is catching bugs, it's regression testing, and that's actually a good point, I think, because regression testing is something more important after some time when you finished writing unit test. In 1 year, this test might save you from some bug. Collaboration, what Andrei already mentioned. Documentation, yeah, what's great. Actually, I didn't know that the test might help to document something. And confidence, I think it's clear. Guys, about documentation, how unit tests help us to have documentation in the project?
For me, it is very complicated and painful history. I never managed to read something from unit test, honestly. But I always one of the project I was, it was the task to migrate a code from legacy platform to a new one, and we had a pain not having unit tests on this code. If we would have a unit tests, we can like easily maybe to either understand the logic or at least to use this test to check
Yeah.
new code.
At
But
least
again, about the
the
documentation,
logic
it's
works
very
well, right?
as
So
documentations. I personally try many times to read it, but didn't succeed. It is about naming conventions. It's about agreements. We don't have probably strong community naming conventions. We have even how to name tests. We have multiple roles. Moreover, namings are created by developers, and developers form not the best content authors, mainly. So it is, I would say, doesn't work for me very well as
Okay,
yeah,
Andrei,
documentation.
can you share your experience?
my experience is like a bit vast with that. So basically, I have an experience of using Gherkin as a type of BDD test, and usually we write user stories with Gherkin, and basically that's the test you write, and that can be done by the people who create the stories, and usually that's a business analyst, so it can help a lot. But that's for sure not unit test. That's going to be some part of integration test or something more high level. But still, it gives you like some kind of a documentation here. Plus, like the fun part that we might have with the legacy products, for example, but it can touch any type of product. If you're not sure if the logic works correctly or not, if the code is legit, try to look at tests. And if the test actually testing that logic, that specific logic, then you're safe. And it actually makes some complex function or complex logic even better to understand in some time. But
Cool.
we also have other tools, so
Yeah.
it's
Thank you. I think
not so.
documentation maybe it's not so like important popular point, but sometimes it might help developers to understand the code. You mentioned BDD. I'd like just to remind you guys that on Friday we'll have a talk about BDD, so feel free to join it and dive deeper into this topic. Okay, ChatGPT. Thank you very much for your answer. But I have another friend. His name is Rosted. It's also AI. And again, I asked like, why do we need to write unit test if we can write code without bugs and test it by ourselves? You can read the answer, and it looks like he just laughed at me. Like, uh, it's not really polite, but it's like, in short, it's not a good idea, according to his answer.
Yeah, you got what you asked for. So basically, you got roasted.
Uh, does it work with you? Yeah, as a manager, could you accept this answer? Can you?
Um, Yeah, I would say so if I like trust this source, but I do trust because AI knows everything, so I accept it. So I think that he knows better. He's not really polite, but by this answer, I can understand that it's not really like good point to not write unit test because we can do it because we can test our code by ourselves. Let's go to the next topic, and the next one is we don't create a lot of bugs. That's the point, a bit different from the previous one. Let's say we do create bugs, but we have QAs. They will test our application. They will test our application, uh, like either we have bugs or not having bugs. So they will not spend more time. Yeah, they will find bugs, will fix them, and that's it. So why do we need to have unit test if we don't have a lot of bugs?
I can start. First of all, you don't need to create a. You don't need one bug will be enough that crash your business. You don't need a lot of bug. Only one. It is first argument.
I can
Second,
disagree with that actually, because like there are some kind of bugs that may, bring down the systems that will worth like 1 million a minute or an hour. So it depends on the actual bug. But I guess I agree with you on the
that
overall statistic.
you
Right?
don't need a lot of bugs actually. Okay, couple bugs can kill everything. Second, do you have enough of money for the QA team? Because don't forget about the regression. So
Okay,
here,
let's
don't spend money on developers. Spend money on QA
let's
team.
let's stop
Welcome.
here. Does it mean that we can forget about QAs and start writing unit tests?
Well, some companies do that actually. And there's
Yeah.
some kind of a
Yeah, on
trend.
your project. Yeah, you start new project. You are a software architect on this project. You are responsible for having a good quality. Will you ask your developers, like, guys, we don't need QA. We will do by ourselves. We will write a lot of unit tests, probably not unit tests, and we'll don't care about bugs because we'll find all of them before we release it.
That's actually such a point that I've mentioned previously. It's about the velocity and risks, and like the separation of concerns. I had some projects in my career that we've avoided using like manual QAs, and I think some of the approaches and some of the results were pretty fine, but basically we should mention that like the implementation phase was slower just because like the engineers had to bring a lot more that actual separate people can do, and for the project it could be cheaper. But again, there are some topics that when you test your own code, you know what to test, and that could be also crucial. But overall, I think the my experience wasn't that bad. It was okay. But I also had an experience when, like, after some years of the actual work, the actual project, without the QAs, we've onboarded a few just to do some regression testing, etc., etc. So it depends on like the context, what we have, and management, and many other stuff, and can be both ways in my experience. So
I used to work on projects where we had only manual case, where we had another project we had only automatic case, and we had a mix. Both of them work, but the time when we had the manual QA, sometimes we started to request AQA because a lot of regressions. Finally, it was startup. It helped to achieve goals on the very start, quickly test something prototypes, but further, once we had a lot of logics, a lot of regressions appeared. The project where we had a lot of AQA, it was actually internal system without, but it is not website, it was migration, and actually it was okay to automate everything, and it was indeed okay. But the project where we had manual engineers, manual QA, it had at least front end side and accessibility, stuff like that. and we had like separations, something, and like asynchronously. We finally we try to cover everything by the code automation test, but maybe first tests we did manually to get first feedback. Again, I think ideally everything to automate, but again, it is about the time, budget, quality, and all the stuff.
Yeah,
About
Okay.
agree.
strategy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've checked the comments. We had a comment from Vladislav. He mentioned that any structural refactoring, like moving logic from one model to another, might break the app just by mistake in case of lack of unit tests.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's like one more point to write in unit tests. And even if we don't create a lot of bugs, it looks like we can do it a bit later by some like refactoring stuff. And I started as a developer, and I know a lot of developers, and I know that they by they I mean developers really like do refactoring, because the code that was written last week today is not perfect, and if you write code today it's perfect, but in 1 week you need to refactor it, because now you know that you can like use another, I don't know, construction and make it more readable, better, faster, whatever else.
Or even the next day it can happen. But let's not
And
judge the
even,
whole topic.
and even when it is your code.
Wow. Yeah, this topic is so holy word. So let's avoid that.
Yeah, even I remember one case when we hired a new person in our team, and he did some task and then asked me like, "Let's have a call because I have a question," and we together were checking the code, and he asked me like, "Okay, I don't understand what's going here," and I said, "Yeah, I do. I also don't understand that. So it's something real bad. Let's check who did it." We checked Git blame, and yeah, it was me. So that's why having a unit test might help us to avoid bugs in future. Um, the next topic also about unit tests, and it's about kind of the benefits that they will give us. Um, so if I have unit tests, let's say I don't know 80% of coverage, can I be sure that I will not have bugs? Can I be sure that if I have unit test, integration test, and end-to-end test, can I be sure that I will not have bugs? So my point is tests do not cover everything.
Um, I've heard about the stories, but not from my colleagues, not from me. That they had a like huge unit test coverage, and still bug appeared. I don't know why, and there's some debates about it. Definitely, you can reference that your tests are bad, but definitely that could be. And indeed, we need to remember that unit tests they are coded by people, and they cover only and only what you ask them to cover, nothing more. And probably if they do not cover all cases, it's because of you didn't uh, think about this test case. I personally, if it covers 100% of lines, can we? Doesn't guarantee that it covers all cases. I'm not sure. Definitely, I'm not sure. Might be. I don't have these examples in my personal life, but I've heard about this. That's why
And
I partially agree with this statement. But again, we don't, as community, say it 80%.
yeah,
It
that's the
is still
point
not.
I wanted to discuss. So tests cannot cover all cases, even if you have 100% coverage. Then what percent should we have on the project and why? So our community decided that it's about up to 80%, like 75.5%. But uh, can we have more or less, and
Uh,
what will happen?
First of all, if you work on the project, ask the requirements of the projects. I used to work on the projects where we had this metric from the top management that you need to cover 80%, doesn't matter. It's your problem.
Let's say we
And
have a project.
if you
We have
don't,
yeah, let's go with more general case. Our project says, guys, I'd like to have software that works, that don't have a lot of bugs. We would like to catch all bugs at the beginning, and so on. So just do everything good. Like, what
Uh,
do we need to do in that
one
case?
100% of test coverage costs maximum money. You could allow even more than maximum money. Yeah, and there's a risk that this 80% will cover almost everything critical. Again, it is responsibility of the developer and team lead what to include in this 80%. Does this 80% covers everything? Because I have seen the stories on the project when team tries to reach the metric but do not cover the cases. They can indeed this 20, the bug could still appear, and because they're not covered by this 20% missed. Again, because of this quality gate, we have a demo, we have quickly to release something, and developers start to code just to code, and welcome the bug. And welcome the situation when we have unit test coverage 80% and we'll have a bugs. It is
Okay.
about management from team lead. 100% again, welcome if you have enough money. But don't forget to support unit tests. Write it as good. But when you need to change, support, remove, it is famous problem when you change something and you have to rewrite a lot of tests.
Mhm.
It could be as well.
Yeah, I see that Andrei connected to us with a phone. It looks like
Yeah,
that
sorry.
somebody didn't write a lot of unit tests for the electricity in your your house.
You no
Uh,
unit tests
yeah,
for your
that's
Yeah.
the
electricity system.
reason. That's the result which you'll get if you don't have enough unit tests. You will not be able to get the issue at the beginning. Andrei,
That's
what's
actually
your
dope topic because, like, yeah, they didn't do the unit tests, but because like it's impossible to cover everything with them. But I have a phone here, so basically that's another type of test that can be as a backup work with the critical path. So if we're talking about like the old cases of unit tests, why do we even have like this much amount of types of tests? Because it's an answer to that. We don't have the actual possibility to cover everything within the unit test. And you've mentioned the 100% coverage.
Yep.
This also does not guarantee you everything. Even if you cover like the all lines of code, there's still a business logic out there, right? And the lines of code are covered are basically counted as a different algorithm with its types of parameters and etc. But like the actual logic, the actual business value can be missed. So we also need to take that into consideration.
Okay. About coverage of unit test. Let me read the comment that was added by Vladimir a couple of days ago. He said that in JS and Python we definitely need writing unit tests because one plus one might be 11. I strongly believe that the huge rise in unit tests was driven generally by JS and Python. That's the first subtopic I'd like to discuss here. Um, how do you think, guys? The percentage of coverage should be different for different languages. So the point is like GS and Python might have more bugs and therefore should have more unit tests than other languages, such as, I don't know, maybe Java, C Sharp, Go, Assembler, whatever else. What do you think about that?
That's really interesting, actually. But I think it can be true just because like some languages are more high level than others. Some have more out of the box capabilities. So, for example, JavaScript has garbage collection and like C++ don't. So you need to have like control of that every time. And yeah, it can be true because out of the box solutions um, you know give you less effort to think of. So basically, yeah, I can agree with that.
no, hold on. Yeah, if you have a like specific, you have a JS, it is like no strong type language, and usually it is normal to see if in the start of the function, if it is a function or if it is string value or if it is something type check. And the question, why the developer didn't cover this case?
Eh,
It is, and once you cover it, then definitely you need to cover, you need to write more unit tests. If you don't code it,
let's
this
have
code
an
then
experiment. Let's make it here. Andrei, let's say you have ideal project. You're responsible for quality here. Customer says just do best project ever. What the test coverage you would have on that project? Just number.
Um, it's a really tough question, but like if you
Yeah,
want to
ideal.
see
I
the
mean,
number,
ideal situation. Yeah, I just get the number
okay.
from you.
I cannot say the number to you just because I need more inputs, but let's say that the standards are 80%, as I
Okay,
mentioned in the beginning of the talk, right?
okay,
Multimeter.
Alexei, same question to you.
it's very hard ask this question from architects here because they always like try to indeed find limits. Um, I'm absolutely okay, except if it was one number, 80% fine.
Okay, that's the why I wanted to do it because Alexei is .NET developer, so C# developer. Yeah,
And
you have
JS as
background.
well.
Yeah, but
.NET,
you have background in C#, Andrei. So correct me if I'm wrong. You had a lot of background in C#, right?
C Sharp as well, yeah.
Yeah.
Not that much, but yeah, I also did.
Okay, so and I wanted to understand like I was expecting that you might have different numbers here, but again, both of you said that it's 80%. About different languages and having different numbers for unit tests. So there is like Mikhail who answered the question of Vladimir. He mentioned that TypeScript should catch static errors such as 1 + 1 = 11. Uh, what do you think about TypeScript and like will it save us from writing some additional tests? And again, if we use TypeScript, can we decrease the threshold for unit test coverage?
TypeScript reduce the number of code you are coding. Definitely, you don't need to spend and check and think about some type checks at minimum. That's why definitely need to. You will have lines of code, results lines, less lines, less tests, and actually you will not test language itself. You will focus on the logic. That's why I would agree that strongly type at least language could influence on the number of reduce number of tests, and at least move your focus to closer to the business rather
Mhm.
than to language capabilities.
Okay, Andrei.
Yeah, it's seen like I've started working with JavaScript like before the TypeScript hype began, and yeah, I know the comparisons between like the type languages and not. So basically, I'd say that well, first of all, what TypeScript is, right? It's a static code tool analysis, and can we say that this is kind of a test? Well, I think yes, in some part. This is testing our code. So will it reduce some amount of bugs? In my experience, yes. And that's why TypeScript is that popular right now, and it's even more popular than actual JavaScript. Just because like there are tons of errors that are actually with some typings, with some object parameters and stuff like that that can affect your application. And the TypeScript help us to identify the typing errors right before, like inside of our CI/CD process, and that helps and that reduces bugs for sure.
Cool. Get it. Thank you. So, in summary, like TypeScript is a bit better. Easy. Okay, it's a bit easier to get some kind of errors with TypeScript rather than with JavaScript. And
I'd say it's much more easier to get some type of errors, but not
okay,
everything.
but I heard interesting situation from one person's project. So I watched a talk about JavaScript, about TypeScript types, and the person was talking about a different complex types. For example, a type that will catch JSON will do JSON parse or something like that. So it's complex tests, and it will save us from some it's like they are more powerful and will save us from different more complex bugs. But he mentioned that on his project they have a special tests for their types, because the types become very complex, and to make sure that they work correct, you need to write tests for types. So
Yeah.
it's like another level of testing, but yeah, it's also interesting. What do
I'm
you
not
think
sure
about
about
it?
like the tests of types, but do you mean actually like some linting stuff?
No, I mean,
No?
let's say we can, by using TypeScript
Yeah.
tool, yeah, we can have a type that will validate JSON statically.
That's statically. That's interesting
Yes,
because like
yes,
TypeScript does not guarantee you anything because at the end it got transpiled into just simple JavaScript and the types
right,
are just gone away. And that's why I mentioned that this and the TypeScript is a static analysis, and we have a dynamical analysis. So, for example, to check types in the runtime, we could use Joy or other libraries that can do that in runtime. But to actually test the types, to be honest, I've never heard about it, and I'd love to hear about the actual business
yeah.
case.
That's because
Yeah.
in most cases we don't have complex types. Yeah, our the most
Well, I
complex type
do,
that
and I've never had that, to be honest. So
I mean,
that's interesting.
very complex task, because there are
Inferring
additional. Yes,
generic,
yes,
yeah,
and there are
some.
so, and to make sure that these complex types works correctly, you need to have tests on these types. I mean, you need to provide several cases and make sure that this input that we will put to this test, to this type, will get us this result. It's
I
like,
got you.
let's say you need to create peak. Yeah, peak type. We have this type in TypeScript, but if we didn't have it before, yeah, we need to create it. Or for example, we need to create a type that gets uh, like a second item of array item from the end. Yeah, you create
Yeah.
this type by using peak or omit or whatever else, but you need to validate it, and that's why
I
we need
guess I
to.
understand what you mean. Yeah. I think we all do that manually when we are creating complex types and any type. But besides of that, to do that in automation style, well, I guess as long as this code, like the type, got merged into master, let's say, um, is it critical to run the automation? Not sure. But I guess that's okay if they want to do that.
Yeah,
That's interesting. Yeah.
yeah, just something that came to my mind. Okay, one more answer from our roasted. Yeah, I asked like, why do we need write tests if we don't cover all cases? And I think the first sentence like illustrates his answer. So, well, look who thinks they are too clever for tests. So, which means that it's a bit dangerous not writing unit tests, and roasted like helped us to understand it. The next topic, I would say the last for today, but for me, the most interesting one. Um, Instead of writing tests, we can spend time for new features, make more money. So these features will make more money for our client. Our client will ask more features. And in terms of money, it looks like it's better not writing in tests, because why do we need to spend time that we can spend on additional features?
Again, about the new features, it depends on the business style. I've heard, for example, the case when let's have less features, but they work very good, rather than a lot of non-working or unstable features. Depends on the choice of the business itself. And Again, unit tests. It's not. It is about quality. If you want to have already to accept the risk that you will have many features and a couple of them could work unstable, and you okay accept it okay, but it is a risks. That's why I would personally vote or say the business this argument and propose him to select the business to select. But I would mostly advocate and address less features but good, stable and stable working features.
Cool. Andrei?
True. Like to say it more simple, I guess every new feature without tests can ruin your business. So think twice, right? But at the same time, it's actually true that we spend like lots of time sometimes to do tests. If they're set, and these tests are not just copy paste, but some additionals. For example, in my experience, I have like I had some situations where I wrote like a quick fix, but it like
Introduction.
tripled my time of actually writing tests to that. Yeah. So, and in the case of like hotfixes, this can be spared, but again, we need to try to create a tech dev maybe after and do quick tests after that.
Okay, actually, you convinced me, and I had actually similar experience in my experience. So on my current project, we had an issue maybe 2 years ago when customer says, "Guys, new feature, we need to implement it tomorrow. Guys, new feature, we need to implement it yesterday." And so we didn't have Scrum, we used Kanban, which means like it's kind of a new feature, develop, test it, implement it, push it to release. But after some time, it maybe about a couple of months or even up to 6 months, up to half of a year, we started having issues after releasing something. Customer says, "Guys, new feature." We said, "Okay, no problem." We developed it, tested it, released it. We get an issue. We need to do rollback. We fixed the issue. We tested it. We released it. Again issue, again rollback. And in some during some period of time, we like maybe one of 5 releases was successful. So we had a lot of issues with releasing. We were afraid about release because like, okay, we can release, but we are not sure that everything will work. So we started writing unit tests. Not only unit test, we changed the testing approach that we had, testing strategy, and now we have like additional release, no problem. Test it, regression, automation, unit test, another test, and like 2 weeks ago we had 4 releases in a week without any issues.
That's a super valid point because like yeah, the earlier you test, the less money you pay, right? The less
Yeah,
time it gets to the production, and that actually what needs to be translated. Like yeah, if you wanna, if the bugs are okay for you, maybe you can skip that. But if you wanna provide a good stuff to your customers and you wanna get it quicker, tests are actually a some effort to avoid another effort. So 100% agree with you.
yeah, cool. I think that's it from our side. We're running out of time. Yeah, I'd like to read the last comment that we get in YouTube. So, someone says that we definitely need QA. Developers might write the unit tests, but QA engineers should do the rest of the tests, integration, regression, etc. So we already mentioned that. And I'd like to remind you guys that yeah, you'll be able to subscribe to our social medias and yeah, feel free to do it and track our new meetups, conferences, whatever else. Also, it's the third topic in our conference. We'll have two more. Tomorrow we'll have TypeScript demystified topic, and on Friday we'll have topic about BDD. So the title is Intro to BDD: How to Make Devs and BA Allies. So that's it from our side. Thank you very much. For me, it was interesting conversation. Now I'm pretty sure I need to write in tests. Thank you guys, and have a good day. Bye
Have a
bye.
good day. Bye bye, everyone.
All right. Thanks.